Please subscribe and don't forget to press the bell icon to get notified whenever we upload a new video.
There goes the bell, and the first trade is 2 points higher, now 5 points higher. So 11,140, 141, 30 points to the peak, if you please. And 36,900 on the Sensex. That's up about 48.50. 0.1% higher. Well, you can say it's only marginally better than the pre-opening rates indicated, and ditto for the Nifty Bank. Okay, now up about 0.2 on the Nifty Bank. And guess who's contributing to it? SBI. 1.5% higher. So we should pull up Canada Bank, though Sonia will be addressing it. I think it's the Canada Bank effect on SBI. That's okay, just 2.7%. But Canada Bank indicated no major trauma on the balance sheets or the P&L anymore. And that perhaps is having a salutary impact on other PSU banks as well, especially the better ones. Hero Motors up 1.7, so perhaps the disappointment of cutthroat competition is already absorbed. L&T up 1.4, so again, markets looking at the positives of order book and earnings, not terribly worrying about the minor cut in margins. Bharti Airtel 1% higher, again an important stock today, should be on your radar for the results. Bajaj Finserv, evergreen stock, never say die, again up about 1%. Sensex hits a new record. It's making a habit of it. 36,974 now on the Sensex. Our eyes are transfixed on the Nifty, and there as well the distance to the top is actually shrinking. Now it is 11,160. That leaves only 11 points from the top. So well, for at least for the records, it's not an emphatic breaking of records, but I think the records are going to get broken today. What more? We have IndusInd, iShares, Hero Moto, UPL, ITC numbers again important today. Bajaj Auto, all of them are in the green. What's in the red? Tech Mahindra, Bharti, Infratel, BPCL, of course all the oil stocks, BP, HP, IOC, and the pharma stocks, Sun Pharma, Cipla, Lupin. Ashwini kind of prepared us for that. So barring the refinery stocks and the pharma stocks, it's not a bad day at all. And now 0.25% higher on the Nifty.
Oh yes, it's a good opening, decent opening for the mid-cap index as well. By the way, the stock that really takes your breath away this morning is Ambuja Cement. It's up about 5.5% right now and inching up higher. Volumes are very good. It has ACC for company after ACC's very good numbers. The stock is rallying some more. It's up 2% now and 16% for the week. So cement is clearly a space to be yet again on the trading front. In the broader markets, of course, Canara Bank is top of mind. The asset quality has been stable this time around. In fact, not deteriorated. And that's something the street has liked. So up in the green there. Jubilant Foodworks, a lot of brokerages have raised their target prices after the stellar same-store sales growth that the company reported. Ashok Leyland is playing for a bit of a comeback, so up about 1% on Ashok Leyland. And a couple of these NBFC companies, L&T Finance, etc., are doing well this morning. On the losing end, you have KPIT Technologies post the disappointment in the revenues. That's actually down about 3% but it pales in comparison to the gains KPIT has seen. It's been one of the strongest stocks this year, up 56% for the year. A couple of other result reactions. Intellect Design was a very poor showing. That stock is down 6% right now. IRB Infra is also a tad bit under pressure. And talking about stocks under pressure, JSW Steel, once again, minor profit taking coming in there. It's had a very strong year, almost a 20% growth. Bharti Infratel is also down almost about 2%. Some disappointments there. But otherwise, it's actually a good screen. The indices are both picking up. Of course, Sensex at a record high. Nifty is virtually there. And led by L&T and SBI. L&T good numbers and SBI hopes of sort of, the worst being over.
No, the Canada Bank effect. Yeah. Actually, Canada, BOB and SBI are the ones that are shining. Sensex at record high. We are still waiting to see before we invite our market master if it will hit 11,171. No, it's actually getting stranded at 11,160. We'll do that in just a minute. Nashwini, what's the trade now?
See, we've gone short on Bank Nifty to see what happens at the 27, 130, 150 zone. The odds are that we'll get to almost that zone of yesterday's high and maybe fail from there. That's what we are playing for. But overall, the market does not look like it has the momentum to make significant new highs. So that we'll see. Your stops are very close, 10, 15, 20 points on the upside. But I think taking a short trade from a very intraday style perspective, given global cues, etc., may be a worthy trade.
Okay. Any specific stock?
See, specific stocks, obviously techs are not having a good day. So KPIT Tech, PC Jeweler, etc., again the declines have started. So PSU banks, as we speak, are now beginning to make lows of the day, OBC, PNB. So again at higher levels, I think there should be profit booking.
Okay, at higher levels, profit booking, but private sector banks are actually picking up, and that's why the bank Nifty is up quite a bit. So, of course, SBI from PSUs, but look at the private sector lot. Yes Bank, IndusInd Bank are all up almost about 1% and topping the volume charts as well, HDFC too. Sudarshan, your initial thoughts on the market? It's a decent opening. You expect more traction on the upside?
Well, I hope so. I think we are all waiting for 3 days for that traction. And yes, on a serious note, the markets have opened well. We are in an uptrend, and that uptrend should persist and continue. It probably will do much better in August. Stay long. BPCL is a short sell. Surprisingly, crude has gone up. I did tell this, that crude is not coming down. It's a short for the day. And most private sector banks are buying opportunities.
Okay. Mitesh, your last thoughts before we wind up this conversation?
Yeah. But I think cement, had a good breakout on the day of ACC numbers, and then we saw pullback yesterday. I think they are now seeing follow through today. So I would be focusing on stocks like India Cement, Ambuja Cement. Though Ambuja has already run up a bit, but India Cement still offers you a good trading opportunity. And that apart, I think L&T looks good to me, PL looks good to me. And on the short side, I believe that Dish TV could be negative. We had a sell on Mindtree in the morning, which is a conditional sell below 948. The stock hasn't opened very strong. Maybe if it breaks 948, that call could be activated as well on the sell side.
Okay. All right, gentlemen, thank you very much for taking us through the pre-opening rates. Deven, Ashwini, Sudarshan and Mitesh. We will, of course, touch base with our technical masters yet again. For the moment, as we look at the markets very close to to setting a new all-time high, well, it's green all over, 0.25% higher, no matter which index you pick. In that backdrop, let's welcome our market master, Deepen Seth, Head Institutional Research at HDFC Securities. Good morning, Deepen. Maybe you're going to stay on with us and help us celebrate the new high. It's only about 12 points away. But what does it feel? Is it shopping time at all? It's taking so long, it's struggling so much to get past that number.
Yeah, but look at what's been happening if you look at it from a 6-month perspective. Zoom out a little bit, Lata. For the last 6 months, the technicals guys, us fundamentalists, if you will, have been saying, let's get a little cautious. There are trade wars coming up, oil is going up, this is an election year, the monsoon is playing funny games, and what have you? You are at a fresh high. So it's very clear the market is climbing a wall of worry. We'll keep disbelieving and it'll keep going up for a while, and then we'll all get sucked into it. Is that what's going to happen? Or is this some kind of a multi-year, again, breakout, which will take us to fresh highs and a new bull market will begin? So that's the debate right now. And it's a very, very slippery time. Even as the result season has kind of come into its middle phase.
So which camp do you belong to? You stated 2 possibilities, but
yes.
which camp are you in?
So I'll give you the convenient answer because I don't have a clue about the short term. The convenient answer is the one for the long term, and that is that we are clearly one of the best economies to be in at a global level. You might see emerging markets selling off, but then we have structural strengths which many of the emerging markets don't have. You might see, a change in government. Let me make a reckless statement. And yet there are so many things in our favor that it's not that investors are going to run away if the ruling dispensation changes. Howsoever funny or disbelievable coalition alternative might look. Not that I want one. So I think if you are a long-term investor, if you are
it's a good place.
It's a very, very good place. It's one of those places which just can't go wrong over the next 5 years.
We are distracting people from your conversation because it's only 2-3 points away from 11,171. But it could take another 10 minutes to get there. It could take half an hour to get there. And the Sensex also went to 37,000 for your information. I know these are minor. Now it's got there
these
again.
These are just milestones. The road is unending, Lata.
No, I agree. Usain Bolt is always a pleasure to watch. Yet when he braces the tape, it's a great moment.
Yes.
For the moment, it's a great moment. Okay, I take your point that there's no denying that there is a longer-term story in India. But right now, when you look at the results season, see good results from Asian Paints, it fell off. Good results from Jubilant Food, it fell off. These are all stocks which really rallied, marquee performance.
Right.
So, would you buy consumption?
Yes. Selectively, though.
So, which ones?
So, before we take the names, let me outline what's happening. This result season is the time of reckoning for those that have rallied very heavily and whether you want to remain invested there. If you go back to Jubilant, for example, a year or year and a half ago, they were in deep trouble. And they've more than doubled from there. I don't know whether it's doubled in 2 years or a year and a half or something. Maybe it's even lesser. The point is when Pratik Pota took over, their now not so new CEO, it was in all kinds of trouble and all kinds of theories were being floated about why this cannot be whether we'll keep on eating pizzas and that's not possible. The competitive forces are there. The unicorns are going to threaten Domino's and so on and so forth. And look at the brilliant CEO-led turnaround, as it were. And he's fixed almost everything that needs to be fixed. Close down loss-making stores, focus on the product, focus on delivery.
Okay, we are at a record high. I'm sorry to interrupt you.
Sorry.
But this is a big moment for us, right? I know it was flirting with that level for a very, very long time. And finally, Lata, it hit that record high.
Yeah, it did hit, though you may now squabble about 1 and 2 points. But it did hit 11,171, 172 almost. And then it's around that level. 37,000 on the Nifty, on the Sensex as well. So records set on both the major indices. Now it's actually shying away considerably from there. So it does look like there is kind of a fear of heights or jitters on a big day for the Nifty and the Sensex as well. Dipen, first thoughts on the markets hitting? Does it feel like celebration or does it feel like most people have not made money?
Yeah, so that's the other little tragedy that's played out over the last 6 months. Even within the Nifty, we are saying broad markets are kind of battered and people have, it's only the index which is giving an optical illusion. So even within the Nifty, we were just drawing out some data this morning. And I hate to sound like a party pooper at a time when, when the crackers are being burst on the Lal Street. But look at it this way. You have, if you look at the last 6 months, within the Nifty, you have only 10 stocks which have delivered, about 10 odd stocks, it could be 9 or it could be 11, which have delivered 10% or more. And you have a Bajaj Finance up there at 55, 60% kind of return. And you have more than 20 stocks which have fallen 10% or more. Okay. So look at the skew within the Nifty.
So it has been a slightly bittersweet moment. We do have a couple of more guests joining in, so let's get them on board as well. Saurabh Mukherjee and Gautam Shah, both with us. Gentlemen, morning to both of you. Saurabh, that's the thing, right? I mean, we are at record highs, but it's been a really narrow rally so far and not too many participants. You think here on this rally could sort of broaden, and what would your advice be to investors now?
I think, look, it's clear that we are in the late stages of what's been a 5-year-long bull market. But I think what we have to concede is that this is the triumph of the Indian domestic investor. This is a rare case of the stock market hitting highs month after month and driven almost entirely by domestic money. Foreign investors really have been absent from the market for the last couple of years in terms of flows. So I think for the first time in Indian history, you have a bull market which is almost entirely driven by high domestic inflows, and we've got to celebrate that, if not anything else.
Well, just coming back to you, we've got other guests as well. Gautam Shah, what are the charts saying that 11,000 becomes 12,000 shortly?
Yes, Lata, looks like. I think it's quite surreal to see the Nifty trading at lifetime highs. And I say this in the context of what's happening in the broader markets. So probably for the first time, you have the markets at a high and sentiment pretty much at a 52-week low. Yeah. And I think this disconnect is likely to minimize in the days and weeks ahead. I think this consolidation patch that we've gone through since the budget, I think that has really digested the entire gain of 2017. and now probably we are ready for the next phase of the bull market. So I think this is just the beginning of a much bigger move ahead. From a near-term perspective, yes, 11,300 to 400 is what we have been working with. But 12,000 by the end of this year is very much doable. And I think you're going to see much greater upside in the broader market. So the mid-cap index could actually move to levels of 19,500 and beyond.
Okay, contributing today is SBI. And a lot of the, what you can call smokestack stocks. There's Ultratech Cement, there's L&T and SBI, top three gainers. Yeah. Clearly all economy-facing stocks, for what it is worth. Ajay Srivastava is also with us. Ajay, the new highs for Sensex and Nifty today, and the nature of the rally led by smokestack stocks.
Good morning, Lata. First of all, I think it's a great event to have a new high on the index.
Yes.
But I would think, let's be pragmatic, it's like a new high at your age. Every year, I reach a new high in my age.
Oh, please, it's better than that.
Okay. So I think while we're celebrating this, as somebody said before me, that it's not such a celebratory mood for most people.
Yeah.
But I think this is what we were anticipating for last 6 months.
Yes, that's true.
Okay.
So would you say, therefore, you wouldn't be a big buyer at this level, Ajay? You think because it's led by so few stocks, people should not be sucked in? Okay, I think we have to reconnect with Ajay. Yeah. Saurabh, that question to you as well. Since you said this is... Sorry, Ajay, you can hear me?
No, Lata, it's Saurabh here.
Okay, Saurabh, since you said this is the last stage of the rally, are you saying that people should not be sucked in?
I think nobody should ever come into the stock market sucked in by a market high or stay away from the market detracted by a market low. Invest in the Indian market because you want to make money in the long run. It's a healthy economy. The stock market's a good way to benefit from the prosperity of the Indian economy. So nobody should come into the market to make money in the short run because of this market high. That's a very dangerous way to make money. As we've discussed on your shows before, there are healthy pockets in the Indian economy. Export-oriented sectors are set for a good run. Generally, the coffee can stocks, long-term compounders are always a good way to make money. But I have to categorically say, if anybody comes into the market thinking that I'm going to make money on the day the market hits a high, they'll have something else hitting them very soon.
Okay, well, for now, at least the market is holding up. It hit that high and then it's sort of held around that level, up about 35 points right now. Gautam, you made a valid point. The sentiment is at a 52-week low, but the markets are not. So what do you do now? I mean, do you think the same set of stocks are going to drive this market higher? The TCSs, the HULs, the Infosys of the world? Or do you see it broadening a bit? And if you had to pinpoint a couple of pockets, a couple of stocks that could drive it from here, where do you see value?
Well, Sonia, I think it's definitely going to broaden out because I think we've already seen a sort of shift take place in the last 1 week, wherein the outperformers of the last 4 months have seen a little bit of profit booking, and many of the underperforming names have made a phenomenal comeback. You know, PSU Bank, case in point, metal stocks making a comeback, capital goods doing well. And I think this is really going to continue going forward. And also, I think the fact that in this last 400 Nifty point rally, you've not seen the banks participate. You know, the banking index has been stuck to that level of 27,000. And I feel that the next phase up for the Nifty is going to be backed by the bank. So we are talking of a possible 1,000-point jump on the bank Nifty from current levels. And I think that's really going to propel the market to much greater heights. And I think a lot of the underperforming names will see much greater recovery. A lot of people have now started to understand that, you were at the kind of levels where you wanted to buy. And people were just waiting for that one person to get into the market and start initiating their buys. That has happened last week. And I think it's going to lead to a relays of buys going forward.
Okay. I think we have reconnected with Ajay Srivastava. Ajay, I was asking you that look at the nature of the winners today. It's Ultratech, SBI, L&T, ITC. Would you change the nature of the stocks? Do you expect new leadership from newer guys? Okay, the telephone lines are not obliging on the celebratory day. Okay, in any case, Saurabh and Gautam, thank you very much for joining us. Let's see if we can touch base with Ajay later. Okay, Dipen, do you think you should concentrate on the mid-cap space now?
So I said this, I think, a couple of weeks ago on your channel that, and I know it's a broad brush comment, but I think we will have to get very, very choosy on the mid-caps here on and look for quality. just going out and buying mid-caps because they are mid-caps is a little bit of a junky thing to do. You have to look very, very carefully for quality. And again, I will play the same old record that if you have a high quality business with a durable business model and very strong franchise, you should buy such companies when they are in trouble. So Jubilant stands out as an example of what happened to the Domino's franchise when it went through churn. And there are other, let's say, so if you look at the broader consumption story, we have a population where a lot of, consumption is yet to penetrate. If you look at basic FMCG penetration, that's happened. But if you look at the appliances and durable space, you look at the autos space.
So does Symphony stand out because it's delivered weak numbers, but it's
terrible,
a great
not
business,
just weak.
Right?
Yes, so 40% crash in standalone numbers, standalone revenues, 2 consecutive bad summers. So last year in this quarter, they had posted an 18% decline. And on that weak quarter, on the base, they posted some 39-40% crack in revenues. EBITDA almost evaporated at the standalone level. And here's a company who's making foreign forays and acquiring companies in Australia, not that it hasn't acquired something in China or Mexico and the US and so on. So, but look at the intrinsic quality of the business. The question to ask is, are air coolers going out of fashion, or is this just 2 bad summers? So were pizzas going out of fashion, or was it just some inept management before Porter took over? That's the question we need to ask. And remember, this company has been driven for over a decade by a visionary management which has gone through the ups and downs of bad summer seasons. The thing to find out right now is, are air coolers going to evaporate? Okay, from the Indian market, given the rising penetration of ACs, the rising affordability.
Yes.
And so that's a tough one to figure out right now. We've decided to place our bets on Symphony.
Oh.
We've been bullish for the last 30%, 40% crack, and we've gone terribly wrong. Let me stand out and say this. Okay, but if you look at the quality of the management...
So now you shift to ACs? You shift away? Or?
Not really. So it's not that we are bearish on Voltas, for example. Okay, so the thing is that if you look at the ACs and air coolers purchases on a combined basis, we are still not even halfway penetrated into the market, into the addressable market. So
you're keeping the faith in Symphony?
Absolutely. Yeah. We did that for Domino's, and I dare say we might turn out to be terribly right here. We could turn out to be wrong. And
okay, so buy companies that are going through a bad phase, but structurally the business is positive.
Yeah,
what about something like an Ashok Leyland? Because there as well the situation seems to be the same.
So Leyland actually came out with very creditable numbers. Yeah. And the reason they were hammered is not their numbers, but the prospects of what's good. So oil prices are, crude is at a high. Will we have an IIP revival at all as we move forward into an election year and beyond? So that uncertainty is there. So the mining liftoff has happened. The CV cycle turned around last year, and we've got decent growth. Ashok Leyland's mix has moved towards heavier vehicles, so the margins have become better. The balance sheet curing has happened. The capital misallocation was taken care of. The company has revived magnificently and made a lot of money for shareholders. And then it got sold into after decent numbers. So this axle load classification norms, the new axle load classification norms, and the worries on higher crude prices weighing in on CV sales began to hit the stock. Now, I think this is another company which is going through some kind of a doubt phase. And there's nothing wrong in the quality of the business. There's nothing wrong in the quality of the management. And you have to make up your mind and see whether this can come back over a period of time. The new vehicle or axle load classification norms are also, remember, accompanied by an alleged promise of perhaps eliminating the rampant overloading which is happening. So you will have the same trucks going out with the same loading is the promise, except that their technical classification will be such that they cannot be called overloaded anymore. So I don't see why we should be selling lesser trucks in India just because of this. But if the overloading norm, if the overloading malpractice is not controlled, then you will have 30% overloading on 30% higher capacities. That's the worry that the market is pricing in.
What about Bajaj Auto? You persist with your faith?
So I've been reading Rajiv Bajaj's interviews over and over and over again to figure out what he's saying. And he's actually unequivocal. He's very clear on this. Again, I think this is a classic case of a great company. We are looking at, so if you look at the core return ratios of Bajaj Auto, they are better than many FMCG companies.
Oh, really?
If you strip off the cash in the books and you look at what they are making in terms of EBIT into 1 minus T by total capital employed, they are perhaps in the high 90s or in a good year over 100. So if this kind of quality of business, if we are just giving 18x or 20x to this guy, and look at his product mix, look at his sales mix going all over the world, the Nigerias, the Egypts, the Bangladeshs of the world. Look at the fantastic revival he's had in his three-wheeler business. And now he's saying, look, I want to drive volumes. So I will take a couple of models in my entry-level motorcycles and price them 300 rupees lower than the competition. For that, if I, if the 19.5% margin goes to 17.5 on a quarter or two, but look at the longevity of the business that you're buying into. We just get fixated on a number. Again, we are getting excited today on an index level. Yeah. And it's a similar thing. Oh, if Bajaj Auto doesn't give me 19.5% margins,
yeah,
it's
like someone recently said that, Bajaj Auto is doing what Relgio did in the telecom space, sort of disrupting the market. But anyway, last question from my end on Havels. Very good numbers coming in. The stock has done really well, but you still see more there?
Right. So look at Havels now. It's a beautifully balanced business on discretionary consumption. Okay, you have roughly equal contribution, almost equal contribution coming across durables, lighting, cables, switchgear, and now ACs with Lloyd. And in a bad summer, when I'm struggling to defend stories like Symphony, Lloyd's actually grew. They grew 14% like to like after increasing prices. So Lloyd was an economy brand, and now it's in Havels' hands. And I think something is going to happen to this brand. If I was in Voltas, I would be seriously worrying. Okay. So and this management has over decades shown its capability at driving a very high quality. Again, return ratios are in the 40s here. They're sitting on cash. All their overseas adventures which misfired have been taken care of. Yeah. Okay, and again, they are into allegedly underpenetrated categories. Of course, if you compare them with the FMCG types.
Fair point.
So there's another 10 years of growth at Havels, for Christ's sake. And they're leaders in almost everything they do.
Fair point. Thank you very much, Dipen, for joining us with your spirited conversation. I guess electricity is available all over India.
Yes, that's also making a difference, I must
confess. And consumer durables are clearly showing the impact. Thank you very much indeed for your conversation. It is an electrified atmosphere because we have touched that 11,171 mark. It may only be a record, but it's cheer for the moment, and the Sensex as well, new high, past 37,000. On that note, let's invite our technical experts back again, Ashwini Gujral and Rajat Bose, our with us. Good morning again, Ashwini. Well, as you had predicted, it's just touch and then go down. So how do you trade now?
As you know, we took short positions and I'm not losing a whole lot of money. Okay. That means chances are I am right. Put a stop above previous highs, and today's high is good enough. And try to go short on Nifty as well as Bank Nifty. I think as the day goes by, we could move lower. If we do, your risk reward is extremely favorable. If we don't, then you have a 20-25 point risk on the Nifty, maybe 50 odd point risk on the Bank Nifty. But I think that slowly, if there is no follow through, the market is perfectly poised to move lower from here. The way global markets are setting up, etc., it does not look like we are immediately eager to move strongly higher. Having said that, individual stocks also is the similar case, because I have more short positions which will work out if the market does not show follow through. So Voltas is a sell with a stop of 576, target of 558. Axis Bank is a sell with a stop of 535, target of 515. And Petronet is a buy with a stop of 224, target of 238.
Okay, Petronet is a buy, Axis Bank is another trade there. But what about a sell trade? Rajat Bose is also with us, so let's go across to him very quickly. By the way, the cement stocks are moving with quite a bit of gusto this morning. So Ultratech, Grasim, etc. are all up in the green right now, up about 2% odd. ACC as well, look at that follow through there. Rajat, what are the stocks you're looking at this morning?
Well, first, I would say that Bata for me looks pretty good. I would put a stop loss below 903. It's a two-day trade up to Friday. 923 to about 930 would be the target for Bata. And Bharat Financial Inclusion, I would put a stop loss below 1195, and target would be 1214. Apart from that, I would say that you have rightly spoken about cement stocks. Even Ultratech, Sri Cement, these two are also looking pretty good. In August futures, series I am expecting, August clearing, say 4,500 for Ultratech and say about 18,500 to about 19,000 for Sri Cement. The trade setups are very encouraging out there.
Okay, finally, before we let you go, Ashwini, any bank at all on your list? Yes, bank numbers today, incidentally.
See, all these guys have rallied quite a lot. So if you buy in anticipation of a good result, you know, chances are even the best result may not be able to please the market. So Axis Bank or Yes Bank, look for, short ideas in case there are the numbers are not up to the mark.
Fair point. After all, you did give us a short trade on Axis. Gentlemen, thank you very much for joining us. We'll be needing your advice frequently today. We have to take a quick break and we are going to return with the IRB Infra Management. Stay tuned.